episode of Surviving the Survivor, we bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
At least 2 Idaho firefighters are dead, possibly many more, including law enforcement, shot by a sniper after an ambush in the northern part of the great state of Idaho. At this hour, firefighters, the 2 who are known to be dead, being escorted from Idaho into Spokane, Washington, presumably to get to a coroner's office. And you've got hundreds of fire trucks and firefighters lining up in a procession, showing their patriotism. Good evening. This is Surviving Survivor, the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And when there's big breaking news, we bring it to you as well. And that is what is going on today. About 1:25 local time in Idaho, a brush fire started. As with all fires, the first responders do what they do. And when firefighters began to arrive on scene, shots rang out. That's how these 2 firefighters that we know of so far were killed the very last day of their job, literally in the line of fire. Authorities believe it was an ambush. So we are awaiting a press conference that's set to start in about a half hour. And what we're going to do here, we're going to, in a little bit, we're going to bring up the local news, but I'm going to go through everything that we know here at Surviving the Survivor. And then when we get to the press conference, we will bring that to you live. But this is a tragic story developing out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in the northern part of the state. Multiple first responders, including firefighters, and we're hearing law enforcement officers, were shot or at least shot at. Right now, 3 confirmed shot, but it's been as high as 11. And of those 3 confirmed shot, they're all firefighters. 2 of them are deceased. And that is why there is this procession that is going on from Idaho into Spokane, Washington. Presumably, they are taking them to a medical examiner's office for an autopsy, and they are being greeted on their final trip by their brothers and sisters in the fire department and in law enforcement. This all happened at a place called Canfield Mountain in Coeur d'Alene. The suspect, this is important, and you see the remnants of that fire in the distance, which apparently is still smoldering, and that's because firefighters couldn't get to it after the ambush-style shooting. But a suspect is now reportedly down. There is a body found by members of a SWAT team, and next to this body, according to reports, there was a rifle there. Now, originally, we were getting, as you always do with stories like this, conflicting reports that there was potentially more than just one shooter, that there were multiple shooters. However, a shelter-in-place order has also been lifted. So that leads one to believe that with this person down, this dead body with a rifle next to it, that presumably authorities think that that is the only shooter. That's the only reason I can figure out as to why the shelter-in-place would have been lifted. Now, this is a very unlikely twist, in my opinion, but I'm going to present it anyway. We have been doing stories on Travis Decker. He is the father accused of asphyxiating his 3 young daughters. This happened about 4+ weeks ago. He is known to be a survivalist. It happened in rural Washington state in Chelan County. And this is about 3.5 hours from there. So in a month's time, he certainly could have gotten to this location. Now, is this him? Very unlikely. However, you've got to, consider that there is a manhunt and an active manhunt for Travis Decker. It is unknown whether he is self-unalived himself prior to this. Who knows? But it's just sort of unusual that we had been doing stories on Travis Decker, and he, of course, fled into the woods in an area not far from here, and he was believed to be armed and dangerous. So is there a connection? We should find out in about 27 minutes. That is when the Kootenai County Sheriff a guy named Bob Norris is going to be holding a press conference with his lieutenant, Jeff Howard. That is going to happen 9:30 Eastern time. No, I'm sorry, 9:30 Pacific time, 12:30 in the morning Eastern time, which is where we are coming to you from live in Miami. So it is a late night here on the East Coast. Now, the FBI Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, former Fox News host, he has been tweeting all night and confirmed that FBI tactical and technical teams were sent out to this area, including, we believe, the HRT, which is the hostage rescue team, and they are amongst the best of the best. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she's been briefed on the shooting incident, and U.S. Reps Mike Simpson and Senators Crapo and Rich, both Republicans from Idaho, all three are, issued statements offering prayers, encouraging public cooperation with law enforcement. At one point, the sheriff actually was urging, and obviously this is a part of the country where a lot of people have firearms, but the sheriff in this part of the country, and you're looking at some live pictures of that procession, these hundreds of vehicles, firefighters and police, welcoming their brothers and or potentially sisters who were killed tonight into Spokane, Washington from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. As is expected, one falls, they all fall, at least emotionally, so they are there with them tonight. The Idaho governor, Brad Little, he called it a heinous direct assault on first responders. Anytime first responders are attacked, it feels like the whole country is getting a gut punch. So most recent developments, this is all as of about the last 20 minutes East Coast time, obviously 3 hours earlier on the West Coast. Again, the suspect involved in this, or who law enforcement believes to be the suspect, was found deceased, dead by a SWAT team that went up the mountain. All they're telling us at this point is it was a male with a firearm, with some rifle of some sort, and he was found on Canfield Mountain around 8:50 Pacific time, which would be 11:50 our time, which was just about 15 to 20 minutes ago. I think that's when the news actually came out, but I believe that this happened earlier in the night. It was not just 15 or 20 minutes ago. You see the COE there in the chat. We don't have the identity of the shooter. Presser is starting in 20 minutes. This right now is arguably the biggest story in the country. Again, at least 2 firefighters shot and killed. A third firefighter was definitely shot, but there were reports of as many as 11, including some law enforcement officials who were shot at and or hit during this ambush-style attack. And again, authorities are saying whoever this was apparently also started the fire on purpose to lure in these firefighters, which is particularly evil if that is true. So far, we have very little information. There was a brief press conference earlier with the sheriff of Kootenai County. By the way, Kootenai County, perhaps most infamous now for being the home to Moscow, Idaho, which is where Brian Koberger is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. This is the same jurisdiction, the same county. So no official arrests have been announced. A lockdown has been lifted, so this shelter-in-place order is rescinded, which is making me believe, and I'm sure others believe, that it is just this lone shooter who the SWAT team found dead and no one else involved. Otherwise, why lift the shelter-in-place order? Now, this is a big area for camping, and the sheriff earlier was saying that a lot of people were caught on the mountain as this ambush started, and they were terrified. They didn't know what to do. Imagine you're just hiking, you're there, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the middle of a firefight between law enforcement and some lone crazed shooter. You see Fauna Estep here. My son is a firefighter. Thank you for his service. And my husband was one for 37 years. Thank you for his service. He always said his job is to make a bad situation better. Why attack those who are out there to help? I apologize. You're right. Latah County is Moscow, correct. Kootenai County is where Ann Taylor, I believe, was working out of at the time. And the 3 of 4 U of I students are from, there you go, are from Kootenai County. So that is the connection. And you're absolutely right. Latah County is the home to Moscow, Idaho, but not far from each other, at least relative to where I am in Miami. So a quick timeline here. Around 1:21 Pacific time, 4:21 Eastern, you get an initial 911 call, reports of a brush fire near Canfield Mountain. And again, there you go. Vivian saying she lives a half hour away. Sad day for Idaho. About 39 minutes after the 911 call, first responders are on the mountain putting out this fire, and they come under heavy rifle and sniper fire. So just step back for a minute and think about that as we're watching live video of a procession. That appears to be a hearse there, which is never a good sign. You see all the police cars and some firefighters, EMS, ambulance, all coming to greet these fallen firefighters, which is especially just depressing, especially on a Sunday night, especially during the 4th of July week, which is, the All-American holiday. And these are our bravest here working to keep everyone safe. And they're the ones who are being attacked on this evening, as many people are already away for the 4th of July weekend. We are here for you, Idaho. It's been a rough couple of years, to say the least. It sure has in Idaho, not to mention you throw in Lori Vallow and the other crazy trials that have been going on there. And Idaho has had its fair share, too much horrific news coming out of Idaho. About 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time, the sheriff of Kootenai County confirms that the sniper fire was still active. So this is literally more than 2.5 hours after the first shots rang out. So this is going on for over 2.5 hours. Shortly thereafter, the 2 firefighters are confirmed dead on arrival at Kootenai Health, which is a smaller hospital. Some people, I believe, were taken already into Spokane for some treatment. We're going to get more information at the bottom of the hour, and that is when the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office is holding yet another press conference. Again, 2 firefighters dead. It's believed a 3rd was shot. We're hearing up to as many as 11 total firefighters and law enforcement officers shot. We don't know that to be confirmed yet. All we know for sure right now is that 2 are dead. A 3rd was definitely shot upon, according to reports from law enforcement. The smoke still visible. The type of weapon used here, the shooters believed, according to reports, to have used a high-powered sporting rifle. We've seen like these AR-15s and others, but apparently it had a rapid-fire capability. So that is what we're looking at. We're looking at a real, powerful firearm with rapid-fire capability. The sheriff said that the suspect or suspects, because a lot of people were saying multiple shooters at first, were in very heavy brush, blending in and even possibly camouflage. So we're going to find out if, in fact, this was true. They're going to be able to take a look at this shooter. And kudos, obviously, to the SWAT team. We're hearing that the HRT, again, the FBI's hostage rescue team, which is the elite of the elite. We have Rob D'Amico on very often. He's a member of that team. And at one point, he said he was shooting 100,000 rounds of ammunition per year just to stay trained for HRT. So that's the sort of caliber of FBI agent that you're getting with the HRT team. And again, the federal government taking swift action, sending the FBI in immediately upon learning about this. We're also hearing that at least one Black Hawk helicopter was sent in as the firefight was raging. Shots were reportedly, this is where it gets confusing. It always is with big news events like this. But shots were reportedly, at least in the beginning stage of this, were coming from multiple directions, which of course would suggest more than one shooter. But again, you couple that with the fact that one person is down per law enforcement and the shelter in place has been lifted. That leads you to believe it is a single shooter. Lieutenant Jeff Howard, who works for the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, he doubles as a lieutenant and a PIO, or public information spokesperson. He told ABC News that this fire that was called in at 1:21 local time may have been set deliberately to lure firefighters into this ambush, which it appears whoever this shooter or shooters were obviously, in their eyes, successful because they hit their targets, 2 firefighters dead, at least a third shot. Sheriff Norris said that in the active hours of this shooting, and it's unclear whether they're still considering this an active shooter at this point. It sounds like they're not, but it's hard to say. Kootenai is how they're telling Kootenai. Maybe I'm Kootenai, I think. Someone's given me the correct pronunciation. I apologize. I am a Jersey guy, not from Idaho, so my apologies. Sheriff Norris said that he was concerned at the time that civilians were getting caught in the crossfire and trapped in the middle of the chaos. And he mentioned when this firefight was raging that if it wasn't neutralized very quickly, that it was going to be what he felt was a multi-day operation. But it sounds like they got their man, and that man is down, no longer with us. Now, also, at one point, which I thought was very interesting, the sheriff in Coeur d'Alene essentially called for the public's help, saying, if you have a clear line on this shooter, take it, take the clear shot, and take this person out. It's unclear at this hour. It sounds like SWAT came on to this suspect and found them dead. The question now is did that shooter, did he take his own life, or was he shot and killed by someone who was on the mountain? We just don't know. The governor, Brad Little, said, this is a heinous direct assault on our brave firefighters. I ask all Idahoans to pray for them. Again, Dan Bongino saying that FBI technical teams and tactical assets are currently on scene. It remains an active and very dangerous scene. This is from a short time ago. It seems that they have their man. It is unclear. There's going to be a news conference in about 14 minutes. We're going to go live now. The COE is going to let us know which affiliate this is. I want to say it's the NBC affiliate out of Spokane. They have live coverage. And when they flip over to the news conference in just about 14 minutes time, we're going to go with, and then I'll bring you. Here's live coverage out of Spokane, next door to
our news conference with Sheriff Norris, where we are expected to get some clarification on new details between his 4:30 news conference and the one scheduled for 14 minutes from now. Here's what I can tell you in a news release about a little over an hour ago from Kootenai County authorities as they were searching for the person that shot and killed 2 firefighters and wounded others. They released this news release. I'll read it to you as you look at live pictures from Spokane, the processional for the 2 firefighters that lost their lives doing their job courageously. This evening, members of the SWAT team located a deceased male on Canfield Mountain. A firearm was found nearby. Additional information will be provided during the scheduled news conference, now about 13 and a half minutes away. At this time, the shelter in place is being lifted. However, there is still an active wildfire on Canfield Mountain. Residents in the area advised be prepared and ready should further action need to be taken. So they lift that order. They found a deceased male with the firearm. I'll let you make the inference, and I will let them confirm the information in this news conference. But it is scheduled for 9:30. We have a live picture up that we're monitoring. The minute that starts, we'll take you there in its entirety, start to finish. We have team coverage for you throughout the night on our nonstop local stream, the Pulse Studio, and I will be anchoring 11 along with the rest of the team here at Nonstop Local KHQ. But as we look at these live pictures, 2 firefighters woke up this morning. They were with their families or their friends, went to work, maybe woke up in the firehouse like they have done so many mornings, responded to a fire, and they were targeted and killed by a sniper, which we do believe that threat has been neutralized. That confirmation should come here in about 12 minutes. They probably will start on time at 9:30. If they do, we will show you both of the locations. We will continue to keep a live picture out of respect for the fallen firefighters, and we will also listen into that live news conference as well with the sheriff, and I would imagine some other leaders when it comes to the first responders. But Hearts are broken for the law enforcement family, for the firefighter family, and really for our region, that somebody could ambush people that are some of the most courageous you'll find, and usually don't want any recognition for the job they do. They do the job because it's their passion, because they love it. They love protecting people, helping people in distress. They go toward harm's way. They do not run from it. It cost 2 firefighters their lives. Another is wounded. We should get some clarification on the ones that were injured, the extent of their injuries in the news conference, which we will carry for you live. I want to take you back to the live picture. We're going to be silent again as you look at the procession in Spokane that came from Idaho and that sniper incident where firefighters were killed.
I'm going to listen in as well. These are the natural sounds here, eerie as night falls. A very sad Sunday night in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is about 30 miles away from Spokane. Again, if you're just joining us, we are watching local news out of Spokane, Washington. These are first responders who are by the side of 2 other fellow fallen firefighters who were killed in an ambush style shooting this evening. It happened actually in the afternoon, West Coast time. We're coming to you live from Miami. These pictures are coming to you from the West Coast. This is Spokane, Washington. According to some reporting that I'm looking at right now, one of the people here who, and I'm trying to find out specifically who this is, this is a crime reporter for the Spokesman Review. So that is a local paper named Alexandra Duggan. She is or Dugan. I'm not sure how she pronounces it, but Alexandra, I'll go with Dugan, a crime and courts reporter for the Spokesman Review, which would be the newspaper in this area. She said about this procession, we saw a ton of officers leaving the area as we got that news. Many are in good spirits. She went on to note that there is obviously a procession of firefighters. She says that they were local Coeur d'Alene firefighters, so this is going to hit the community especially hard. I know that they bring in, firefighters to fight wildfires from Canada and elsewhere, but these were local firefighters to Coeur d'Alene. Again, obviously, we're starting the 4th of July week ahead of us, which is hard to believe, but if not the biggest, one of the biggest American holidays that there is. Nothing more patriotic than, or no one more patriotic than first responders. And you see these lights flashing red and blue, which are the colors, of course, of 4th of July. And these 2 firefighters that we know of right now, and hopefully there will not be wrong, they will not be here, these 2. We know nothing about these 2 firefighters other than the fact that they are from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. This same reporter, Sarah Dugan, with the Spokesman Review, says that it is a small town, speaking of Coeur d'Alene, a small town feel where everyone knows everyone. People travel back and forth often, meaning between Coeur d'Alene and Spokane. This tragedy will now link both communities. Excuse me. Other things of note, the wildfire that apparently was set intentionally to draw in these firefighters, so this ambush style attack could happen. Apparently that fire, the actual fire, is still burning on Canfield Mountain because firefighters have not been able to completely extinguish it. So who's going to go there? The other first responders. I mean, that's what's crazy and surreal about this story, is that 2 first responders are down, and in the same breath, other first responders without even thinking about it, not knowing if there are other shooters yet, not really having an idea, are out there putting their own lives on the line to save the public's lives, which is giving me the chills, and goes to show you what these people do day in and day out.
You're seeing the
Firefighters, EMS,
processional
and of course, law
to bring
enforcement.
the 2 fallen firefighters here to Spokane from Canfield Mountain. I can tell you, we are very selectively bringing in any context because the pictures speak for themselves. 2 courageous firefighters doing the job that they loved, they've done, lost their lives today on purpose. Somebody targeted them doing their job to protect our community. You can see, imagine the emotions, just gut-wrenching. Huge processional. If you were out on Interstate 90, you witnessed it. And it is here in Spokane where the 2 fallen firefighters have been taken from. We're going to take you back to the live picture, and we're not going to say anything.
But I will, and I'm not being disrespectful. We're going to watch these shots. I just want to get you some information. Someone is asking, who just tuned in, how many were shot and or killed. All we know for sure right now, and this is likely going to change, and we're awaiting a news conference with the Kootenai County Sheriff in just about 5 minutes' time. What we do know is that a wildfire started about 1:21 local time in Idaho. Firefighters, as they do, responded to the wildfire. When they got on scene, they were ambushed with gunfire. 2 firefighters are dead. A third is shot. Those 2 dead firefighters were taken in a procession, which is what you're looking at now, from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, presumably to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy in Spokane, Washington. It is about a 30-minute distance driving wise, from what I understand, from Coeur d'Alene to Spokane, Washington. And this procession, you see the firefighters just standing by, heads down, just taking it all in. Idaho Strong is right, and they're going to need our help. It has been a rough bunch of years for the great state of Idaho, which is arguably one of the most pretty states in the union. The Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, she announced that the agency is actively monitoring this situation. She says to pray for Idaho's first responders and says that justice will be served. It sounds like maybe it was already meted out in the form of this person no longer being with us. Now, Travis Decker, this is a long shot, I would say, a long shot. But Travis Decker, for those who do not know, has been on the lam for a little over a month. He's former military, and he's accused of murdering his 3 daughters. And authorities, as recently as this past weekend, said that they weren't sure if he was alive or dead, but they had no reason to believe either, really. They had no information saying he was either alive or dead. And he apparently rolled into the woods after killing his daughters and was about 3 or 3.5 hours from this location. Now, this area where this all happened was up on a mountain, but close kind of to an urban area, which if you are a guy like Travis Decker that needs to get food or sneak into a house, it would make sense in that regard. But that's a long and big leap to go from a random shooter at Canfield Mountain to a guy that half the state of Washington, if not the entire state, and Idaho were looking for, a guy named Travis Decker. It will be incredibly, I guess, astonishing, for lack of a better word, if this did turn out to be the guy who authorities have been looking for the better part of more than a month. Travis Decker, again, responsible, and police want him for the murder of his 3 daughters by asphyxiation. Now, he was in the military and is said to have survivalist skills. So he's been going for a month. Just if he's still with us and had not taken his own life, there is the possibility this could be him. There's also the possibility it could be 359 million other Americans in this country. So we have absolutely no idea. Whoever is yelling in the chat, I'm going to pay no attention to that. This is a very, very, very long shot. What we're watching on screen here, I'm glad you asked. You can see some law enforcement and or firefighters there with a salute. 2 firefighters are dead tonight in an ambush-style shooting on Canfield Mountain in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Shot and killed by somebody, and that somebody is now said to be dead on the mountain as well, with a rifle next to their body. For much of the afternoon, the sheriff's office thought that there were multiple shooters here, even saying at one point that the shots were coming from different directions. But when things are chaotic, especially in the early moments or hours or minutes of an incident like this, a lot of times you get reports that the shots are coming from different locations. I remember that vividly with the MGM shooting in Vegas. People said that shots were coming from all different directions. They were coming from a single hotel room. The shooter, whoever is responsible for this, was found dead by a SWAT team. Unclear if he took his own life, shot by somebody else. And there is supposed to be a press conference literally right now at the bottom of the hour at any moment to give us information. Anything else, whether it could potentially be Travis Decker, whether
You
more
saw a
people were
salute
shot,
there, and now
pure
they're
speculation.
walking away. A long processional bringing those 2 fallen firefighters.
This is the
here to
local
Spokane.
station.
Just off of 100 South Cowley there is the location that you're looking at. And we are also now expecting a live news conference at 9:30, so about 15 seconds from now. I can look off camera here at the Emergency Management Office. They are not at the podium at this time. Kootenai County ambush there, 2 firefighters killed by a sniper. We can tell you that they found a deceased male on Canfield Mountain. We can also tell you there was a firearm nearby. They have yet to confirm that this is the shooter, but they also lifted the shelter in place at the same time they issued that they found a deceased male with a firearm. So you can make your own inference there. This is the official statement from Kootenai County authorities. The news conference, we were told, is at 9:30. I'm looking at a live picture. They are not ready yet. You just saw the processional there as the 2 fallen firefighters were brought here to Spokane, the medical examiner's office, and they are gearing up now as we look to a different live picture. These live pictures from Hayden, Idaho, the Emergency Operations Management Center there, where they are expected to clarify key points along the way. The last time we heard officially from authorities, other than a news release, was at 4:30 this afternoon in a live news conference that was brief in nature and tight-lipped on the content for obvious reasons, and the magnitude and the gravity of this situation hitting all our first responders and really all of us that call this area home hard. This is not something that you see happen where they are brought in. Here is the sheriff stepping up, and we have other law enforcement agencies. I would imagine checking in to make sure all the media are ready with their camera and their video and their audio. But I am going to take you there now, and we will just listen in.
I'm hoping it's just 3 shot and the 2 dead and no more. There were reports of 11, but it
Office
appears
of
that it might have just been the 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Anybody have any issues with the sound, or are we good to go? Okay, good evening. It is a sad day in Kootenai County. Very, very sad. Today, we're going to go over the timeline. We're going to introduce everybody that's up here. Chairman of the BOCC is Bruce Matari. We have Lieutenant Jess Stinson from the Idaho State Police. We have Bill DeRuyter from the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. And we have Pete Hawley from the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. And we're going to go through a quick timeline. This is still a very, very fresh investigation. So, an incident. So many of these facts might change, but they are evolving as we speak. At approximately 1:21 this afternoon, we received a phone call that there was a fire on the backside or east side of Canfield Mountain. Fire assets responded to the scene, and at approximately 2 o'clock, firefighters broadcast that they were being shot at on Canfield Mountain. During that next hour and a half where we have assets that are responding to the aid of these firefighters. We still have an active fire. We are managing about 17,000 square foot containment area. We are requesting other law enforcement agencies to assist us. We had a great response. We had the Spokane County Sheriff's Office responded in force, the Spokane Police, the Coeur d'Alene Police Department, the FBI, many agencies responded right here in Idaho, Bonner County, Shoshone County, Kellogg. So we had about 300 law enforcement officers that were on scene that were trying to make heads and tails out of what was occurring. And during this time, we exchanged gunfire with the suspect, and we also got information. We received information from the White House, from Kash Patel, the FBI, from Governor Brad Little, and also Raul Labrador, that anything that we needed, that they would absolutely respond. So we had a lot of assets that came into that command post. And then we had a briefing about 6:30, about 18:30 hours at the command post. And in that briefing, we kind of gave an update to the agencies that this is still an active shooter, and that as soon as this individual could be neutralized, that he should be neutralized and the threat should be eliminated as quickly as possible. At approximately 1940 hours, we did have information that let me back up just a second. We had a cell phone activation that was in the same spot since about 3:16. And that it was in the same area. And we honed in on that cell phone, and we saw that there was a male, appeared to be deceased, with a weapon nearby. So we have currently one dead shooter. Based on the preliminary investigation that was being conducted, keep in mind we had a fire that was rapidly, it was approaching the body. So we had to scoop up that body, and we had to transport that body to a different location. But based on the preliminary information, we believe that is the only shooter that was on that mountain at that time. So there is no threat to the community at this time. Based on the trajectory and based on the type of weapons that this individual had that we could recover, we believe only the one shooter. We did lose a Coeur d'Alene firefighter, and we did lose a firefighter from the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. We have another firefighter that just came out of surgery from the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. I'm sorry, from the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department, right? Is that true? Okay. He just came out of surgery. He is fighting for his life, but he's in stable condition. So we knew that our resources were exhausted, that if this were to prolong into a 24 or 48 hour operation, we would need additional helicopters. We had 2 helicopters that were up, and we had snipers in them. So if they had an opportunity to take a shot, then we wanted them to take that shot. We wanted to neutralize that threat. And Chief, is there anything that you'd like to say, or you want to take questions?
Take questions.
Okay. Right now, like I said, this information is very, very preliminary. And if you have questions, just ask who you'd like that question directed to, and we'll try to answer it.
Alex, the spokesman review. This is just for the fire personnel. Are you able to share anything about these firefighters? If they, just sorry to, anything about them at all in Barrington, what the fire department is doing right now to assist the rest of their brothers who lost these guys, or is there anything at all you can tell us?
We are not going to name the firefighters at this time, and there was a procession from Kootenai Health to the Spokane coroner's office, but their families will need support.
Aiden Brown, Print 2 News. You mentioned 3 firefighters that have been shot. Was there any other first responders or personnel that were injured during this operation?
No. As of right now, those are the only 3 that we have. We believe that everybody is off the mountain, so any civilians that were hiking during that time, we believe it's likely, had they been injured, they would have came forward. So
there was a belief at some point that there could have potentially have been a second shooter. I know that you're still early, but you have been able to essentially eliminate that thought process.
Yeah, we believe, based on the information that we've been able to collect, that we believe that there was only one shooter. And we based it on the weapons that we found at the scene, the type of injuries that were incurred by that weapon. So as of right now, from a very preliminary determination, we believe that there was only the one shooter.
And I know it's early, but do we have any sort of background on this person or any motive?
Nope. Black shirt.
Aaron from Range Media. Do we know, you just said we don't have any background on, do we know if he's possibly from here, or did he move here and you don't know the identity?
We need to wait until a positive identification is made. So the gentleman,
did the suspect shoot himself? Do we know that?
we don't know at this point in time. So the coroner's office will conduct their investigation, and so as of right now, we don't know.
Eliza Billingham, Spokane Public Radio. Are you able to give any insight on if you think there was a connection between the fire and the shooting?
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush and it was intentional. And we do believe that he started it, and it was totally intentional what he did. In the back there in the tan.
Did he make the 911 call?
There was a gentleman that made the 911 call. He did not identify himself as the shooter. So as of right now, we don't believe that he's the one that made the 911 call. But, that could change, because many times people don't use their real names and what have you. So
Any description of the suspect?
no, not at this time. No. Gentleman in the red hat.
Ryan Neal, JXOY. Does the fire present any problems with you as you're trying to collect evidence?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we scooped up that body, and as far as the preservation of the scene, it's not perfect in this particular situation, but it's something that had to be done. So you have to evaluate each particular circumstance, and at this time, we felt like since the fire was approaching, we needed to scoop up that body, and it's contained. So there are law enforcement personnel that are up there, and we will conduct the investigation, continue it tomorrow morning. Crews will be there all night. So yeah, it's compromised, sure, but we had to do what we had to do to preserve the body. So
What was the weapon?
we're not, like I said, we don't know if there's more weapons up there that he had. There is a belief that he ran and shot. So we don't know what we might be collecting once the fire threat diminishes. The gentleman in the black shirt?
Are other federal agencies still involved?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We, on a large operation like this, if we had to fuel helicopters, and there are some helicopters that had some really good technology that were able to pinpoint where that cell phone activity was. So there was our federal partners assisted us in this situation. 100% they did.
What location were we dealing with? Did you find the suspect?
Not too far from the original call for service. Yeah, not too far. Anybody I haven't called on? All right, gentleman in the black shirt.
You said you picked up the cell phone signal around 3:16, I believe?
Yes.
How long was it between that signal that you got and you were able to recover the body?
It's about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe around 5-ish.
Right.
So you did say there was a gun found, a weapon, correct?
Correct.
What kind was that?
We're not releasing that right now, just because we had to scoop everything up so quickly. We could not preserve the scene like traditionally we would like to. So we believe that there's a likelihood that when we are able to enter the scene again tomorrow without the threat of fire, that we'll find other weapons that were placed. So this was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
Sheriff Garrett, with the spokesman review, can you just describe the terrain and how difficult it was, or maybe how simple it was?
When you have an environment where you don't know where the bullets are coming from because of the trees and the shrubbery and what have you, it is daunting for police officers, let alone firefighters who are there just to put out the fire. So it's very, very difficult. Very difficult for drones or helicopters to see any individuals up there. So this was a total ambush, taken by surprise, and it's unfortunate. So.
Sure, firefighters deal with ambush. Police deal with ambush all the time, but firefighters, are they trained in that type of situation?
No, this is something that we don't train for. It's not something we expect. It's not something our firefighters should have to deal with. In this situation, they were called to a grass fire, which is already something that we're very heightened and are anxious about this time of year. And they were doing everything the way they were supposed to do it.
Can we get an update on the fire? Do you have any sort of acreage or containment information?
It's about 20 acres. But unfortunately, we weren't able to put any resources on it because of the gunfire exchange. So, ma'am in the white there.
Sheriff Norris, reading with Crime 2, this is the week of 4th of July. First responders are already on defense with, this coming week. Just emotionally tell me how it feels to have something happen like this, especially with, such important authorities that are super important for a week like this too.
Yeah, I haven't, it hasn't sunk in yet. I mean, this is a situation where I don't even think a lot of us in this room has processed this. So, yeah, this community supports firefighters and law enforcement.
Any structures lost?
Nope, not at this time, no.
Is there any specific information about the actual location of where the shooter was at? Like, is there I don't want to say an address, but maybe coordinates or anything like that?
We might be able to get that for you later, but I don't have that information now. Yeah. I would like to say something. There was some information that was broadcasted on social media, and it's very, very important. These firefighters or police officers, in some cases, have family, and for some of this information to have been broadcasted, I hope we can ask with our social media and our First Amendment auditors and our civilian journalists to take in consideration what you're putting out there on the social media, because it can be devastating it's devastating when somebody knocks at your door to tell you something like this, but to hear about it on social media, I'm just asking for people to be considerate in the most significant of injuries and times. So,
federal apparatus, I'm wondering what the White House has committed to, and the FBI and Homeland Security.
we had helicopters and personnel on the ground probably within the hour.
Also, in follow up to that, this is obviously going to hit our community incredibly hard. It already has. I know, again, it's early. What can we do for the families? Will there be a memorial fund set up? Will there be some sort of way that we can, as a community, come together to support them? Because this is a devastating loss and people want to put that emotion somewhere.
Yeah, we're grieving as an organization, and I can speak for Port Lane Fire as well. So a lot of those steps have not been completely brought to fruition, especially with it being a weekend. We know that the Red and Blue Foundation and Anchored Coffee has already offered to do a lot of the donation collection, and we appreciate them. They've been a great supporter of law enforcement and fire, and they'll continue to be a good partner for us. So that's where I would initially encourage people to seek to provide some support for the families.
Thank you.
I'd like to add, until a press release comes out by these two agencies, do not give money to a entity that says they're representing these people. They will put out a press release with the information, whether it's going to be an account at a bank or an account at another entity, but we will likely have some people that will try to scam based on this tragedy. So do not give money to any entity until a press release is released. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
On where exactly to give this money.
Can you say, sorry, what you're doing for your firefighters right now? Just because I know this is
I would say it's very early on. They're just processing this right now. So, I mean, they're in shock. So is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say let's give it a day or two. And
We have mobilized peer support groups from all over the region for our people. And so that is something that we've already put into place. But like Sheriff has said, we don't know exactly all the extent of what we're going to need to do for our people just yet.
I did get information that some Black Hawk helicopters were also committed in the event that we needed to go.
The Idaho National Guard was prepared to provide a Black Hawk should we need one.
So, let's go here.
To your knowledge, is there any special significance to either June 29th or to the mountain?
No. Nope.
Is there any information you have on when the firefighters were shot at to begin with? Was it when they were actively fighting, or was it
Well,
when they first arrived?
at approximately 1,400 hours. Yeah.
Is there a potential for this situation to shift policy or add policies to the fire department in any way? I know you guys.
As a rule, what's predictable is preventable. In this situation, I'm just not sure how it could have possibly been predicted. So it's really hard to policy that out, but we will be doing a complete review.
You can anticipate or expect some of these things to occur in a urban setting. You can. I've seen it myself. However, in a rural setting, this is very, very, very rare in a rural setting. I mean, I've never seen it many times in an urban setting. I have not seen it in a rural setting. Yes, sir. Well, you got the last question. Lucky you.
How involved were the firefighters in battling this blaze when they arrived there? Was it pretty immediate that these shots rang out, or were they dousing it with water?
Do you know what time they arrived on scene?
My understanding is that they were doing a reconnaissance on the fire initially, and that there actually was not any active firefighting at that point. So it was right early on in the incident.
Thank you.
And there was only one fire. I know that there was, misinformation out there that there were multiple fires started, but there was just the one fire.
Correct.
For Kootenai County Fires, can you spell your name for me? I'm so sorry.
My last name is Holley, Holley.
The Idaho State Police is handling the officer-involved shooting aspect of this investigation. If you have any questions to them, or our commissioner, the chairman of the board, Bruce Matari, you can, or if you'd like to say anything. Okay.
Well, say something now, because there's, my name's Bruce Matari. I am the chairman of the board of the county commissioners in Kootenai County. First, I want to extend my most sincerest condolences to the loved ones of the firemen we lost today, and give my prayers to those injured and fighting for their lives. What happened was senseless and tragic beyond words. I also want to highlight the incredible rapid response from Sheriff Norris and his office, and how they rallied quickly with surrounding law enforcement agencies at the local, state, and federal level, and that includes outside the state in Washington. They quickly contained the suspect and prevented him from further harm to others. The response was phenomenal. June 29, 2025 is a day that we will not forget in this community. It is the day evil showed its face, and we lost two outstanding professionals of the highest quality. And I cannot fathom why anyone would commit such a heinous act. This kind of senseless violence is unheard of here, as the sheriff had mentioned. This is not who we are as a community. And when you hear how others portray the people who live here on the news, it's not true. What happened here decades ago is not reflective of the fine people who live here today. And I want everyone to know that this is a wonderful place to live, to raise your family, and visit. It is a place that is comprised of caring and considerate people who look out for each other. And we, this community, will look out for those who are grieving from this tragic loss of their loved ones today. And I ask that the people watching allow time for this community to heal from this unbelievable loss. And that I also want to thank the fact that, the resources are here and that they've been made available at the state level to support our local law enforcement and even at the federal level. It was an outstanding response, and Sheriff Norris and his office deserve all the credit for that. So thank you.
You look like you have one more
I have
question.
one more,
All right.
You said Washington and Idaho, of course, responded, but I thought I saw mutual aid license plates from Montana. Can you comment at all about if Montana delivered any mutual aid?
I believe Montana was on scene also, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, just real quick, are there any evacuations going to the fire?
At this time, no, but I encourage you, if you haven't signed up for Kootenai Alerts, to make sure that we sign up for Kootenai Alerts. And that is the best way. We did send out an alert for people to shelter in place at this time if you're in that impacted area. So Kootenai Alerts is a great way to stay informed. Okay, thank you.
Conference. You've been watching a live news conference with Sheriff Bob Norris.
COE, we can mute that.
Agencies, including the fire.
And this is local news out of Spokane, Washington. And as he was just saying, this is the Kootenai County Sheriff who just held this news conference. And we're getting some sad news tonight to report to you. Three firefighters were shot. Two of them are now dead, and they were actually being transported from a medical center in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, into Spokane, Washington. One, according to the sheriff, is fighting for their life. However, at the same time, the sheriff said that this firefighter is in somewhat stable condition. He made it clear that the IDs of these firefighters are not going to be released right now. It was one Coeur d'Alene firefighter killed, one Kootenai County firefighter who died, and then the third firefighter is also from Coeur d'Alene. So you've got two Coeur d'Alene firefighters, one said to be fighting for his life but in stable condition, one dead, and then one Kootenai County firefighter who fell in the line of duty tonight trying to put out a fire, and the sheriff making it abundantly clear that this was 100% an ambush, that this fire was set intentionally. The gunman dead as well, and the sheriff making it clear on that point that they are also waiting on his ID, and they got into some interesting commentary on that, which we'll go over. Sheriff Bob Norris of Kootenai County, this was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance, and you heard one of the other law enforcement officials saying, excuse me, that they do not train to shoot back. That is a job of law enforcement. They were not armed, and that is why he's saying they did not stand a chance. Welcome to a lot of new viewers here. If you don't know us, we are Surviving the Survivor. We do a live nightly talk show on the biggest true crime cases in America each and every evening of the week in the afternoons on Fridays. And you can follow us on Twitter at Podcast STS, Instagram at Surviving the Survivor, hopefully on better circumstances than this one. The sheriff started, and I'll just recap this news conference a little bit, Sheriff Bob Norris, by saying it's a very, very, very sad day in Kootenai County, and then went into a timeline of events. He cautioned that it was still a, quote, very, very fresh investigation. And we are looking at video now from earlier in the day. Keep in mind, the sun has set now on the West Coast, but this is northern Idaho, where the sun sets much later this time of year. But these are all the law enforcement officers, and he made it a point to say that the FBI responded within the hour, and that the White House even reached out saying that they were going to give whatever resources were necessary. The sheriff also pointed out that many facts that he was delivering just now, that they might change because of the early nature of the investigation, and things are still happening out in the field. In particular, that wildfire, which he said is about 17 acres, and later in the news conference said had grown to about 20 acres, is not contained. And they say that that wildfire was set intentionally to draw out, excuse me, these firefighters to the scene, and that's when they were ambushed. So again, at one point, as is always the case, and we've got a caution against it, even the sheriff asked to please be careful with the information being disseminated. But at one point, there were reports of up to 11 shot, including law enforcement officials and firefighters. It is never a good day when two firefighters lose their life and a third life is on the line. But obviously, it is better than 11 having been shot. So it was on a much lower number of that spectrum, and thankfully for that. So if there's any silver lining, which is hard to find right now, would be that the number of casualties was much less than some had initially reported. Again, the sheriff initially saying that they were managing about 17,000 square feet, that size area for the fire. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there were any firefighter representatives at this news conference, and that's because it seems like they are still fighting the fire, so they couldn't be there. Business, obviously, before news conferences, so that's what they were attending to. Speaking of other jurisdictions, the sheriff in Coeur d'Alene said that Spokane sheriffs showed up, deputies, police from around the area, fire from Washington State and other areas of Idaho, and then the FBI all responded as well. He said initially they were trying to make heads and tails out of what was happening. Obviously, it sounded like a very chaotic situation. That shooting I mentioned in Vegas earlier, when there were reports of fire coming from all directions, I believe, was it the Mandalay Bay? Someone correct me on that. I said MGM, whichever I said, I believe it was the other. So, excuse me and apologies for that. The sheriff here in Coeur d'Alene said that they did exchange gunfire in Kootenai County with the shooter. So fire was exchanged. That's when, as this gunfire was raging on, they got information from the White House. He didn't say specifically what, including a call from Kash Patel, the current FBI director. Essentially, they were saying that we will give you whatever resources you need, but it goes to show you that this went all the way up to the White House and the current director of the FBI, Kash Patel. He said lots of assets started coming into the command post, and then he got into some of the specifics of the timeline. He said at 6:30 local time, which would put it at 9:30 Eastern, there was a briefing that there was still an active shooter at that time, and that decision was made, the right one, that the shooter should be neutralized as soon as possible. And that is not that interesting because that's what you would expect. But at that point in time, they were asking anyone in the public who could maybe assist, maybe had the shooter in their line of sight, to take the shot and eliminate the shooter. So that's not something you hear every day. This part of Idaho, there are a lot of firearms. Private citizens carry them. And so there was an appeal at this point to people in the public to take a shot if you had a clear line of sight. What was very interesting is around 3:16 local time, they say that they got some activity and activation off of a cell phone that was coming from basically the same location as the gunfire. So they were quote unquote able to hone in on that cell phone. And yeah, IGG rocks. The cell phone gave the location of the evildoer, a term that is sometimes used here on STS. They came across this person. He was dead when they came in contact with him. The SWAT team was on the mountain at that point. They found the shooter deceased. And this is all he said based on preliminary information from the investigation. Of course, again, it's always chaotic. News is always swirling. It's always a frenzy. But early on, there were reports that there were multiple shooters. The sheriff saying now they believe from the trajectory of the bullets and the type of ammunition and the type of weapon that it was only this one shooter. And they know more than we know. So they likely know the type of ammunition that was used. It probably matched to the gun found, of course, next to this person. They are not revealing who this person is. They're also not revealing the names of the first responders. But again, it is one Coeur d'Alene firefighter dead, one Kootenai County firefighter dead, and another Coeur d'Alene firefighter fighting for their life, but also said to be in stable condition. The sheriff said that they had 2 helicopters up with snipers aboard. We have a guest on our show. We call them the best guests. And Rob D'Amico is a former member of the hostage rescue team. It's not clear whether these snipers were necessarily with the hostage rescue team, but Rob D'Amico at one point was on a helicopter during the days of the DC sniper trying to take out the sniper. And that's what it reminded me of. So these are the best of the best of the best up in a helicopter over a mountain, snipers trying to set their sights. And it's still not clear who took this gunman out. Was it a helicopter sniper? We just don't know yet. One of the questions, the most obvious questions, which was not asked, is why? Do they know why this happened? It is likely way too early in the investigation to have an answer for that, but no known motive right now. The question, in my opinion, should at least have been asked because we don't know if law enforcement knows who this shooter is. Maybe they do. Maybe they have an idea of why it happened. Now, he talked about how this area is different. It was not the sheriff. This was someone else. How this area was different 3 decades ago, and there's no longer reason to be afraid. You know, there were some infamous cases out of that area, like Ruby Ridge. There were some issues with the Aryan Nation. There's a place, I believe it's Hayden Lake nearby, that is sort of infamous for Aryan Nation activity. And he was making it clear, look, there's no reason to be scared. It's a safe area. Maybe insinuating, although not definitively, that, it's not related to any of this, and no reason to believe that it is at this point. But it was interesting to see a public official come out and say, look, we're safe. We're open for business. It's obviously a huge, you can see why, look how beautiful it is, but it is a huge tourist location. So this public official telling people nothing to be afraid about. Essentially, this was an isolated incident. Come and spend your time in Coeur d'Alene. At the same time, the sheriff said that this was done intentionally. He also said that the fire that is currently still raging there over about a 17-acre area has contaminated the actual crime scene. He said they had to go in and scoop up the body of this alleged shooter. So they had to do that. So they went and got the body of the alleged shooter, who has now been neutralized. He said, obviously, they connected this cell phone to this person. And he said it was about an hour and a half after they detected this cell phone activity coming from the area of the gunfire. It was about an hour and a half from that point until the shooter was actually neutralized. But it looks like, because of digital forensics, they had a beat on this shooter and had an idea of his geolocation and possibly went after him that way. He also went on to say, look, firefighters are not prepared for this. They're not prepared to be shot at. He said it's even, daunting for police officers, let alone firefighters. And that's when he underscored the fact that firefighters had absolutely no shot. Their backs were, figuratively and literally against the wall. He called it a quote unquote total ambush. Feds were on the ground within the hour, so they got there very quickly. He also went on to say, which is very sad, a reporter asked, how do we support the families of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Kootenai County? And the reporter wanted to know if there was a charity. Well, the sheriff got up and said, until we put out an official press release, please don't give to any charities, because there will be scams, which is a very sad statement on our society in general. There were reports that a Black Hawk helicopter was used, a military grade Black Hawk helicopter. The sheriff said that there was talk about bringing one in, but it actually never actually flew over Canfield Mountain. Authorities are going to now have to start piecing together details about this dead person, believed to be the shooter, on Canfield Mountain. And they are going to likely serve search warrants at locations tied to this dead guy and start working backwards and building a profile of him. They were very careful right now not to reveal any information that they may or may not have about the shooter, but you can be sure that they are executing those search warrants probably as we speak, at least getting a judge to sign off on them so they can get their investigation underway in earnest. A final note here, I just did a quick Google search. There was in Webster, New York, on Christmas Eve back in 2012, Webster, New York, December 24th, 2012. It was a convicted felon, a guy named William Spengler. He set fire to his own house purposely to draw on firefighters and then opened fire with multiple rifles. On that day as well, 2 firefighters killed in an ambush, 2 others badly injured. The weapon used at that point was a .223 AR-15 style rifle. So this is not the first time, and this is the one that's most notably similar to the one in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So it is a sad Sunday into Monday. It is Monday morning here on the East Coast. We're coming to you from Miami. This is Surviving the Survivor. We do a nightly live talk show about the biggest trending crime stories, true crime stories in the country. We have what we call our best guests. We have experts. We do an expert panel every single night of the week. If you haven't watched, please join us. If you appreciate the content, please hit that like button, subscribe, and obviously a very sad night. Just to recap super quickly, 3 firefighters shot tonight in Kootenai County. 2 of those firefighters are dead. One, who's a Coeur d'Alene firefighter, is said to be in stable condition, but fighting for their life. The other 2 who died, one Coeur d'Alene firefighter, one Kootenai County firefighter, and their IDs still not released, pending next of kin. And again, again, the sheriff, he cautioned people like us and other YouTubers to be careful with information, which we all need to do, because for us, it's a very sad story. It's another horrible day in America with a terrible tragedy. But to these people, the family members, it is going to be the worst day of their lives forever. And so we all need to be careful and more careful with the information. We know now 3 firefighters lost their lives. I'm sorry, 2 firefighters lost their lives. 1 is hanging on to life, and the 2 dead are 1 from Coeur d'Alene and 1 Kootenai County firefighter. And our thoughts tonight are with the family members. The gunman believed to be neutralized. He is dead, and officials saying there are no other gunmen believed to be out there. And a county official saying Coeur d'Alene, which it is one of the most beautiful spots in America. Summer's here, 4th of July is here, not to be afraid to go. The American spirit is too strong for that. So I know Americans will go. A happy 4th of July to everybody. Love you, America. Love you, Kootenai County, Idaho, Spokane, Washington, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And let's think about the families of the fallen firefighters tonight. It is going to be a long road ahead. And kudos to the sheriff's office for some good police work. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Check us out on Twitter at Podcast STS, Instagram at Surviving the Survivor.